Rosario Vampire is a story that looks like a simple, funny, romantic comedy about monsters on the surface, but it actually has a much deeper layout. The story's built around Yukai Academy, a special high school created to keep humans and monsters completely separate. The rules of this world say that monsters must hide their true forms and pretend to be normal humans while they are at school. If a human finds out who they really are, the punishment is death. This rule creates a lot of pressure because it means the monsters have to hide their real selves just to survive. The world mixes old monster legends like Western vampires and Japanese spirits into a social ladder where older, stronger monsters hold all the power and look down on weaker creatures. The main character is Tsukune Aona, an ordinary human teenager who accidentally gets sent to this monster school because of a paperwork mistake. Tsukune is constantly terrified and feels completely out of place. Because he is the only human in a school full of dangerous predators, his main goal quickly becomes staying alive and keeping his human identity a secret. On his first day, he meets Mocha Akashiya, a beautiful vampire who wears a special rosary cross around her neck.
This cross acts as a physical lock that splits her into two people. On the outside, she's a sweet, friendly girl who fits in well at school. But when the cross is pulled off, her true vampire self wakes up, bringing out a cold, incredibly strong warrior. As the story goes on, Tsukune is forced to protect his friends by taking Mocha's vampire blood into his own body. This changes him physically and makes him worry that he is losing his humanity and turning into a monster himself. The bad guys in the story want to destroy the school's rules, but for reasons that make sense from their point of view. Groups like the anti-school faction believe that forcing monsters to live like humans is wrong and wipes out their history. They want to tear down the barrier between the human world and the monster world so that monsters can rule over humans again. This goal goes completely against Tsukune's wish for peace, but it connects to the angry, repressed side of the monsters. The villains represent what happens when monsters refuse to hide anymore. By making the villains care about protecting their heritage, the story becomes more than just good guys fighting bad guys.
It becomes a debate about whether a minority group should try to fit into a dominant culture or try to destroy the system completely. This conflict is driven by the way Yokai Academy is run. The school operates like a strict, controlling government disguised as a high school. The student council and the security teams use force and constant spying to keep everyone in line. The story shows that the school's peaceful daily life is only maintained through violence. Inside the monster community, weaker monsters are bullied and treated poorly by the stronger ones, which mirrors real-world social classes. This unfair system makes the lower-class monsters angry, and the villains use that anger to recruit them. Every small fight in the early episodes happens because students are struggling to hide their true monstrous natures, causing them to snap under the pressure. The structure of the show changes a lot as time goes on. It starts out as a funny, repetitive show where a new monster attacks every week and gets defeated by Mocha. This slow, predictable pace makes the audience feel safe and comfortable with the high school setting. However, the story gradually gets darker as these weekly fights start to leave permanent physical and emotional scars on Tsukune and his friends.
The small, isolated attacks turn out to be part of a larger plan by secret organisations testing the school's defences. Once this conspiracy is revealed, the story speeds up significantly. It drops the light-hearted comedy and becomes a serious, continuous adventure where the survival of both the human and monster worlds is at stake. The visual style of the anime does a great job of showing how the characters feel. The cameras often position Tsukune so he looks tiny compared to the giant, creepy Gothic buildings of the school, or they cram him into tight spaces surrounded by large monsters to show how helpless he is. The action scenes change perspective rapidly, moving from wide shots that show the massive damage caused by the monsters to close-ups of Mocha's cross being unsealed. When the cross comes off, the visual style changes completely. The bright, cheerful colours of the school day disappear, replaced by dark shadows and deep red tones. During fights, the monsters move so fast through the air and across the screen that Tsukune is left standing completely still, visually proving that he does not belong in their world. The sound design also helps make the story feel heavier and more dangerous.
The funny scenes use light, cheerful music, but this music cuts out instantly and changes to creepy instruments when a threat appears. The best piece of sound design happens when Mocha's rosary is removed. The show uses a loud metallic clicking sound, followed by a deep, heavy rumbling noise that makes the viewer feel an immediate sense of dread. The battle music uses church organs, fast violins, and dramatic choirs to make the high school fights feel like ancient legendary wars. Even when the show is trying to be funny or provocative, the serious music constantly reminds the audience that the characters are in real danger of dying. In the end, the characters have to find a way to live together without hiding behind fake human identities or destroying the human world. To fix their broken society, the characters have to make massive sacrifices. Tsukune has to give up his normal life forever, as the vampire blood permanently changes his body and leaves him caught forever between being a human and a monster. Mocha has to accept both sides of her personality, which means breaking her protective cross for good and facing her painful memories without any emotional armor. The final message of the story is that true peace cannot be achieved by wearing masks or forcing people to change who they are.
Instead, people must be completely honest about their flaws and their strengths, which ultimately changes their entire world for the better.